Let's look at a complete code with functions. Well, this is a very long code actually, because it's not only in one slide, it takes 2 slides to write it. But when you read this kind of a code, let me share my hints to read it, okay? It might sound very scary, like, because it's so long, there's so many things to read, and be careful about it. But let's see how we can do it. When I see this kind of a code, well, of course, the the commands are always helpful. But for now, let's check it. Okay, now this is a DEF definition, so I'll skip it for now. It won't be executed. DEF startup message, it won't be executed now. I'm skipping that. Definition step 1, definition step 2, definition step 3, definition step 4. All of them are definition. Actually, these will not be executed. This is not my starting point. I'm trying to find the first line of my code that will be executed. So here it is. Now we call the main function. Okay, my code starts here. So now I can go and try to understand. Okay, we are calling main function. So I need to go to the main function. Okay, in the main function, it calls startup message. So I need to go to the jump to the startup message. And then we print this. This program tells you how to assemble an ACM laundry dryer. There are 4 steps in the process. Okay, I'm done with this startup message. So I'm going back to where it is called here. And then we put this. Press enter to see step 1. So we force user to hit the enter. Okay, then we go to the step 1. So we call step 1 function, so which means we should jump to here. We print those 2 lines, and then we go back to where it is called. We ask user to input. Press enter. We call step 2. So we go to the step 2 function. We print those. We go back to where it is called. We force the user to press enter. We go step 3. Once we are done with the step 3, we come back here again. We force them to press enter. We go to step 4, we print those, we run step 4, and then we come back here. Then we are done with the main function. So we should go to the where main function is called, which is, here. So since there is no more line of code, I'm done. So shortly, if there are function calls, you should always remember where that function is called, because we'll go to that called function. Once we are done, we'll come back and continue the execution from there. Do you have any questions so far? All right, then let's proceed. All right, local variables. So now this is important because we didn't see this before. When we have seen variables, but we didn't know what is a local variable, because in the previous code we were just writing code without any function. A local variable is basically a variable that is defined within a function. So let's look at this example. For instance, we have this function definition, get name, and in that one we introduce this name variable. So this name is a local variable. Why is it local? It means that, like the name suggests, it's not global, it is local. It is only used, it can be only used within that function definition. So when we try to use it, we'll just get an error. Like in this one, so we define get name, and in the main function, we call this get name function. We execute these lines, and then we come back, and then we try to print, okay, hello and name. And then the Python will give us an error. It will say that, okay, what is name? I don't know. Well, you might say that, okay, how can you not know? Because I run this get name function, and this name, I already defined it, like it is here. It's the input from the user, and then the Python will say, okay, I don't know. Because the reason is that this name is local. It can be only used within this get name function. This name, it's not reachable from the other functions. It's not accessible from the other functions. That's why Java will give us an error message. And we use this scope like a term in programming. It's a scope of a variable means defines the part of the program that variable is accessible. So what is the scope of this variable name? It is this function get name. This part is out of its scope. It's not reachable here. That's why we will get an error. Let me actually just demonstrate it. So I need to copy paste this. Just make a copy paste. And I need to fix the copy paste errors, of course. All right. As you can see, I'm getting an error here, this red message here. It's basically saying that when you go to this, it says undefined name. So Python doesn't know what is name here because this part is only accessible here. I can copy paste this code. Sorry. And put it here also. And in this line, I will not get an error because name is accessible within this function. But here it is not. That's why we are getting an error. All right. Do you have any questions so far? And because of this, they are not accessible. We can use the same variable name in different functions. Like if you look at this example, we have the main function. In its definition, we have these two functions, Texas and California. And Texas has this variable named birds. And also California has the variable named birds. But these are, from Python perspective, they are different variables. In the memory, they refer to different locations. One of them is the birds of Texas, the other one is birds of California. And it doesn't cause any problem. They are just different variables because their scope is different. They are defined in different functions. So you can easily use same name for the variables in different function names, in different functions. Shall I proceed? All right. Now this argument part. So what is this argument? Well, so for now we have seen just functions that doesn't take any parameter, any argument. But we usually also use functions to process some item. Like I'll call this like an argument. Like we will give them some numbers, some values, some data, and then that function will do some certain actions on it, and then it will either print or return that. Like as in this example, we have this show double function. Okay, now it takes an argument. What it does is, it takes whatever number I give it to that, it will multiply it by 2, and then it will print it. So this is the argument part. I need to just give a name here. Like now in my function definitions between parentheses, now I'm not just leaving it empty. I'm writing this any name that I would like to use, and then I'm explaining what to do with this number in this function definition. And then when I'm calling this function here, as you can see, show double part, I'm giving this value here in it. So what will it print? Here's also its execution, the same code here. So here is a show double, and then the show, we are calling it here. Just note that, like in this one I use number, and in this one I use value. So their nums does not have to match. This is when I'm defining the function, I'm calling my argument name number, but this is when I'm calling it. I can give any number, any variable name, so they don't have to be have the same name. And then when I say, okay, value is 5, and now run it with this value parameter, it means that, okay, how Python understand that, okay, this number now should be 5. And then I need to run this show double based on the number 5. So number will be considered as 5. 5 times 2 is 10, so it will print 10. If I had given it to another number, like 3, 0, whatever number I give, it will do. It will use that number. It will set that number to our number variable, and then it will execute it in that way. Like for instance, we can do an example for this. Let's say that we want to calculate. We want to have the square function. So whatever number is given, I would like to print its square. Okay. So basically, we'll print x times x. Sorry. Now I define my function. I need to delete this. I don't want to get an error because of that one. Then I can just call this function with any number. Square 5, 10, 9, whatever number you would like to say. Then it will basically print. It will do the same operation for each, like 5 square, 10 square, 9 square, and 4 square, and so on. And again, the number, I didn't say that x, it could be anything. Like again, I can say y is equal to 7, and I could say also y, and then it would be still correct. I could also give x, yeah, that is also fine. And then I could give it here x, and then it will be still correctly run. So this name, so what I'm trying to say is, this name is just the name that I defined for that function definition, but it doesn't restrict me to use any variable name when I'm calling that. Shall I proceed? All right. Let's do this. This should be our last slide. Okay, here is one passing arguments to functions part. Let's see one more example on this. So here we have this main function in which we call this introduction function. Introduction function prints those messages. And then we ask the user, okay, enter the number of cups. We take it as an input. We convert it into integer. We keep it in this cups needed. And then we want to convert the cups to the ounces. So we define this function, cups to ounces. So how many cups, how many ounces it makes this much number of cups. So we do this calculation here at the definition name, cups to ounces. Again, our parameter list cups. And then we do this calculation. Basically, an ounces is 8 cups. So we do this calculation, and then we print that message. So again, we'll like the very same example similar example that we did. So in short, what is the syntax? def, function name, and then the parameters that we would like to give, and then we would like to do whatever, we will implement the task that we want to do for that function. All right, I think I can stop here.